Hey everyone, Carlin here once again. I am doing something a little bit different today. I am going to do a little bit of a how-to, and then chat, obviously, because if you've watched any videos on my channel, you know that I chat a lot. Anyway, the angles that I have now for filming are terrible. This new wheel has created a problem for me that I don't know how to fix yet. So my angles aren't great. So if you have any filming things that are good for like small spaces and that are short, that can work for filming, um, drop those down in the comments because I am looking for something that works good with that type of thing. Anyway, I had mentioned that I was going to a market and I went to that market and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. I it blew my mind what people were wanting in a good way, and it gave me a really good sense of what I should continue making if I do want to pursue this farther for selling. So yeah, it was great. It was great to talk to everybody. I'm really thankful for everyone. If you're watching this, that you were at the sale, if you purchased, if you came and talked to me, if you just commented on what you liked, I appreciate all of that because it's all really good feedback. And the thing I was totally surprised at, and maybe it's just because I am like, I like the themey type things, but almost none of my Halloween mugs sold, which is fine. I'm fine with keeping them. Um, but yeah, the potion mugs, they didn't go. The ghost mugs, the pumpkin mugs. I sold the bats and a pumpkin, and that was it. And which is fine. Well, I did sell one potion mug, I guess, but yeah, I was surprised, but that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. Um, and yeah, I also wanted to mention on this channel, I don't run my pottery as like a full fledged business. So I have decided that I probably will keep the money part of things. I'll probably keep that to myself. I'm not going to talk about money because this isn't a business for me. This is a hobby. This is fun for me. So I am going to keep that part separate. So I appreciate all of the ones who do share all of that info, but because I'm keeping this more like a hobby and I'm not running it like a business, I feel like if I were to talk about money, it's kind of um, it's not really going to help a person that's trying to start a business. I want to inspire people to create. I want to inspire people to make, and I think I'm doing that so far. Um, but that's what I want this channel to be about more so than business things, because that's not how I'm running it at the moment. If that changes, maybe I'll change my mind. But for right now, it will just be the creative aspect of this hobby or art form or however you want to put it. Um, but yeah, so anyway, my market was great. So what I decided, the item that sold out, the functional item that sold out within probably 10 minutes, literally, the sale started at 10 and by 10:15, I had none of these left. That was salt cellars. They were my absolute best seller. So I am 100% making more of them for my new market that is within a month. So I thought, why not show you guys how I am going to make them? It's just going to be a one-part video. I'm not going to show you glazing. I'm not going to do like a final reveal because I'll probably do a kiln unload. But I am going to show you how to make them. We're going to show you how I throw them and then I trim them in this video. So let's get started and let's make some salt cellars. Okay, so I am using a bat system today. I don't normally use a bat system, but here we are. This is Plainsman 340. I am using 1.1, 1.2 pounds, so nothing too crazy, but yeah. Anyway, I will give you the final measurements when we're done throwing, because everything in my studio is a sister, not a twin. Anyway, first you're going to want to center and cone and center, just like always. But I am not teaching you how to throw. I'm just showing you how I make these. So you throw however you throw. Okay, so my puck is just about 4 centimeters, 4 inches. So then I'm just gonna drill down. Now, when I make these, I do keep my base quite thick, as in minimum 1/4 of an inch, if not 1/2 an inch thick. And you'll see why when I go to trim them and when we do the final shaping. But yeah, I keep my base quite thick. And when I'm pulling, I always pull towards my palm because that's how I can keep myself on center. I don't know, that was a really good tip that I can't remember where I saw it, whether it was Instagram here or TikTok or somewhere, but I did learn it from another creator, so I am just sharing it on. I do compress my base, and then I just slow down my wheel, and we're gonna start pulling our walls. Now I always pull my walls towards the center of my piece. They don't always end up like that, but they do. And I do try to compress my rim each and every time I throw or pull the walls, I guess. I went a little bit thin, but that's okay. We'll get her fixed. And then when I get a little bit too far out, I just collar in towards the center. Actually, I'm going to pull some of that water out. If you're a person that throws with a lot of water, just remember to always keep removing the water out of the base of your piece. I throw with a lot of water, but I try my best not to let too much sit in the bottom of my piece, because I don't want to oversaturate my base. Okay. So that is definitely high enough. I'm just going to pull it out just a little bit. Widen it out, and then I'm going to remove the excess. Collar in a bit. Compress my rim. We're going to have to trim that rim. But the cylinder that I just made is about 3.5 by 4.5, which is totally fine. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to put a little squeeze of water in the base, or in the inside. And all I'm going to do is use my fingers from the inside, and I'm going to gently push outwards with my sponge supporting on the outside. And I'm just going to not necessarily pull the walls, but I'm just shaping the walls. So all I'm doing, and you're going to want to compress your rim each and every time you do this, because you will get wonky if you don't, which I am a little wonky at the moment, but that's okay. So you just want to pull from the, not pull, just push from the inside and just give it a shape. So there you go. As you can see, you have this rounded shape. And when it goes, there we go. And then when we go to trim our base, when we trim it, you'll see why I keep it as thick as I keep it. So then we'll go and actually, our rim's not too bad. So I am not going to trim that actually. So I'm just going to remove the water that's on the inside. So then I'm just going to take a plastic rib. I'm just going to go from the inside, and I'm just going to slowly go up the whole way, almost like compressing the walls. I guess I am compressing the walls, but I'm just trying to remove some of the slip so it dries a little bit better. And there we go. Now I am going to collar this little neck in here just a touch more. So I just wet my hands a bit. And go in here and maybe round it out just a touch more. There you go. There we go. And we will burnish and stuff when we go to trim, but so right now I'm not totally worried about it, but so I'm just going to take my wooden tool with the beveled side in, and I'm going to cut down, and then I'm going to push down flat. Then I'm going to just slowly go around with the flat side or the beveled side down and pick up all the extra. Then I just do a quick sponge of anything that's going to leave like grooves and stuff because I don't want that. Clean off my bat. Then the final measurement is about 4.5 by 3.25 half, depending on how you look at it. So perfect. That's exactly what I want. And then all I'm going to do, I'm not going to wire it off the base at this time because I do find that when you wire it off the base too early, when you're using bats, it makes the rim all wonky. So I am just going to leave it just like this. And once it sets up for a couple hours, then I will come back and wire them off the base so that I can flip them and let them dry a bit better. Okay, so it has been a few hours now. So I am going to wire off these salt cellars and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I don't actually want to remove them just yet because they are still wet, but I am going to wire them off now so that they can get a little bit of air underneath there, or hopefully they get a little bit of air underneath there. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. It's the same as wiring it off everywhere, I guess. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So let me just switch the angle here. Again, the angles are terrible. So if you have some filming equipment that works really well for small spaces, please leave it down in the comments. So here they are. All you need is some wire cutters. And all I'm going to do, just make sure that these aren't in my way. All I'm going to do is take my wire cutter, put my knee right here against the table. I'm going to tighten my wire tool, place it down, and I'm going to use my knee and my wire tool, and I'm going to work together, and I'm going to go nice and slow, because if you don't go slow, you're going to get it moving, and you don't want that. So then just continue on. Do the next one, push it against my knee, go slow. And as you can see, the rim stays perfect. It doesn't warp, it doesn't do anything. You don't run the risk of, like wiring it right off the bat, right when you're taking it off, you definitely run the risk of warping your rim, just like you do if you don't use a bat. So this is just another way for me to try to keep my rims as nice as possible. And it's worked so far, so I thought I would share it with you all. But yeah, super simple. And if you just go slow, then it works quite well. So there we go. That's how I do it. And now I'm going to leave these for another couple hours, and then I'm going to flip them over. So just like everything else in pottery that you make, you do flip it so that you can have some even drying. So that's what I'm going to do with this. And I'll be back tomorrow and I will show you how we are going to trim them. So I will see you tomorrow. So as you can see, we have our piece. The tip that I'm going to say that is probably the most important is that when you are trimming these, I myself like to trim them when they're still a little on the wetter side of leather hard, because I find that it makes it easier for the finishing piece. So I also use the suction method. I don't like using lugs if I can get away with it, so I don't. But anyway, I just start trimming, and that's basically it. You trim off the excess. Now you will have, if you threw them just like I did, you'll have a ton right in here, which is basically what you are wanting to give you that stability for the final step. But you also have to be careful when you're trimming, because you don't want to trim off too much, because if you trim off too much, then the final step will end up being, it won't work. So it's kind of a, you got to find like the happy medium. You want to have it rounded, but you also need the stability of the excess clay. And plus you need to take off all the extra weight. If you ever want to check if there's a lot of clay, just tap it. So you can hear, I don't know if you can hear that or not, but there's a lot of clay here. Not as much here. A lot of clay, not so much. Like, yeah, it's hard to, but I can tell that there is a lot of clay right here, and I don't necessarily need that much. Okay, so as you can see, it's rounded, but not totally round, if that makes sense. Just gonna try to even that out a bit. So then I always take a rubber rib and I just burnish everything and make everything nice and smooth and remove the throwing marks, the trimming marks, and then it just makes it really nice for glaze application too. Okay, so we're nice and smooth, we're nice and round, and now you've taken off a ton of weight. So now you're left with this. You could leave it just like that. It would be super cute. But we are not. We are going to make it tilty. So all you have to do, and if your rim is a little bit crooked, you can kind of correct it this way. So like this one is kind of oblong. So I'm going to correct that. So basically all you're going to do, hopefully this is a good angle, is you're just going to hold it at where you want it to sit. So I want it to sit with about that type of opening. So I'm just going to go and I want to make sure that it sits nice. And then I check the back. I make sure that the back looks nice, that the front is even, and then it looks even when it's sitting. And then just adjust accordingly. Now on the inside, you are going to notice that there is a little indent. You can kind of fizzle, you can kind of sponge that out. I also like to run a sponge in here just because I don't want to run the risk of it cracking. So I go through the rim here. I run my sponge on the inside just to dampen it. And then as you can see, it sits just like you want. Perfect. So now that's your salt cellar. That's it. You can add a little thing for the spoon. You could do it, like I said before, you could do it totally standing up, which would also be really cute. Or you could do it with a lid. I'm not a lid expert. So yeah, I don't throw with a lid. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is just take these and I'm just gonna cover them up. I'm gonna cover them up for probably at least 3 or 4 days, especially since you altered the base. You wanna make sure that that base dries extra slow so that there's no cracks and that it dries nice and everything. And then especially if you're adding anything to it, like if you're adding any embellishments or you're doing any carving or doing anything like that, you want to make sure that that dries nice and slow. That's super important. You will always have a good result if you let things dry really slow. Okay, so that is how I make my salt cellars. It's a super simple project. It's not hard. It's an okay project for beginners as well. Because I'm a beginner, I'm not an expert, that's for sure. That's it. That's all I have for today. Don't mind how I look at the moment. We are in full work mode today, so I did not get myself put together. But anyway, that's how I make my salt cellars. If you guys have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below. I probably won't let you know what I sell them for because I feel like that is subjective to where you live and your market and the price of your products and your materials and stuff like that. So what I sell them for is kind of irrelevant for what anybody else could sell them for. You need to be comfortable with what you're selling things at, just like I need to be comfortable with what I'm selling them at. So yeah, anyway, if you guys have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I will answer them the best I can. Otherwise, I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and let me know if you want to see more. If you want to see me make more things and how I make things, let me know. I'd be glad to share. But yeah, otherwise, I will see everyone in the next video. Bye everyone.